Welcome, Assalamu alaikum, बहुत बहुत आदाब, Farah Usmani, Dr. Farah Usmani and Javed Bhai for coming on to Womenistan Talk Show, episode number 8. बहुत बहुत खुशी हुई आप लोगों ने, you all have come onto this platform. It's a great privilege and honor for me. So for my viewers, I would like to introduce Dr. Farah Usmani. Ladies first. So I would like to introduce Dr. Farah Usmani to everyone. So Dr. Farah Usmani has 25 years of experience in policy and programming leadership, focusing on women and girls with the public sector, a bilateral donor, and she's currently with the United Nations. Since joining the United Nations International Civil Services in 2001, she has worked in positions at country, regional, and global levels. Dr. Usmani currently serves at UNFPA, that is United Nations Population Fund headquarters in New York, at a director level 1. Farah Appa, as I call her very lovingly, has the distinction of being the first female student to top the merit list, wow, in the pre-medical entrance examination of the Aligarh Muslim University in 1978, where she completed her medical training. And Dr. Usmani has also received several awards, medals, merit scholarships, and was the recipient of Joint Japan World Bank Scholarship and England. She was awarded the British Council Fellowship in Maternal and Child Health at the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine. Ms. Usmani is the first woman from Uttar Pradesh and also the first Muslim woman from India to work with the United Nations International Civil Services at director level at New York. So great round of applause. And it's completely my honor and privilege to have you with us. And Dr. Javed Usmani, I would like to introduce Dr. Javed Usmani. So he has been the Chief Information Commissioner of Uttar Pradesh and an ex-IS officer, has worked with 3 chief ministers of Uttar Pradesh and was also the Chief Secretary of Uttar Pradesh a few years ago. So welcome aboard. And so can I start with the questioning?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Mehnaz. And also congratulations to you on starting this dialogue series with women and on women's issues. Yes, over.
So my question to both, to the wonderful couple is, you both have had very long careers and spanning different cities and different countries. And how did you all make this all work? Question to Javed first. Javed ji.
I think I'll like to answer this first, and then Farah can add to it with whatever way she wants. You know, we've been married for 38 years now.
MashaAllah.
And in this long journey of 38 years, we have spent 14 years in different places, you know, either in different cities or even different countries. So we have managed our life, and we have very different careers. You know, I was in the Indian Administrative Service, Farah was in the UN Civil Service, and the 2 tracks actually don't meet. You know, they run parallel. Maybe sometimes they diverge. So it took a lot of planning and lot of support to each other for us to manage this difficult difficult career choices that both of us had made. First of all, I think the most important thing was that we both decided and we both supported each other. That was the most important thing. And at times, both of us, either one of us or the other, at times we took decisions which were basically compromises, and in which, you know, minor or small or big sacrifices were made for the good of both of us. So, for instance, very early in her career, Farah took a decision to give up her job as lecturer in obstetrics and gynecology at the JN Medical College, Aligarh University. She resigned from that position to join the UP Provincial Medical Service so that we could both be together. could be posted together. That was a compromise that she made very early in her career. I remember when I was district magistrate of Bulandshahr, and district magistrate is a very prestigious posting in the IAS. And then to be together with Farah, I remember she was doing MD at that time. She was in the MD course at JN Medical College. And I took up a position as a registrar of the Aligarh Muslim University. So that we could be together. And once again, this is a decision that was taken keeping our mutual interest. Similar, there are similar incidents, right?
I took a sabbatical to go to London. I took leave without pay to go to London when he went to do his master's in social policy there. And then Javed took a posting after I went to Kathmandu. Yeah.
I was in the Prime Minister's office at that time, and that was one of the most prestigious assignment you can get in the service.
Under which Prime Minister, may I ask, Javed bhai?
Well, I worked with three Prime Ministers.
Okay.
I was in the Prime Minister's office for 8.5 years,
Wow.
which is a very long period.
India is always shaking when I announced today who's coming on Womenistan Talk Show. I'm getting messages, wow, Javed Usmani ji. Everybody knows you.
I joined the Prime Minister's office in 1996 when Mr. Deve Gowda was the Prime Minister. I worked with him, then I worked with Mr. Gujral, and then I worked for about 3.5 years almost with Mr. Vajpayee.
Wow.
And after that, I was recalled back to the Prime Minister's office in 2004 when Mr. Manmohan Singh became the Prime Minister, and I was with him for 3.5 years. So I worked for a total of 8.5 years in the Prime Minister's office with 4 Prime Ministers. It's a remarkable experience. But nevertheless, coming back to our subject, when I was in the Prime Minister's office in 2001, Farah got posted to Kathmandu from Delhi in UNFPA, but from Delhi she got posted to Kathmandu. And I sought a change. There was a position available in the Embassy of India in Kathmandu. And I sought a change from Prime Minister's office to that position in Kathmandu. It was again so that we could stay together. And it was good for me in the sense that I enjoyed working in that position.
Okay, so so Javed's given you, sort of how we were balancing the time to, because, but for me, the most important part is that, or message that I would like to convey is that you need to have an understanding with the partner and respect for the careers. Correct. So that is the core, and that then leads to adjustments and to, to make it work, because both the parties are respecting the career of each and give it value.
Important, extremely important, very important. You need to be mature enough to understand that the distance doesn't really distance us, So if there's love, there's respect, there's focus in your work, and there's trust. So you're building a happy marriage. You're having a lovely bonding family, at the same time serving your country. So I think that's a wonderful thing that, you're like a great, example for so many married couples who find this very challenging, that trust and distances they say distances should not make the heart go wander. So I think a lovely example, a lovely couple here. Coming to my next question.
Can I just add something here, because we have not touched upon those 14 years when we were separate. How did we manage those 14 years?
But actually, Mehnaz, you reminded us by talking about communication.
Yeah.
So, very briefly, those 14 years were, Farah was in Kathmandu for 3 years, and I was back with Dr. Manmohan Singh in Delhi. So for 3 years. We were
so it's
separate.
Like a love affair, actually.
Then,
in New York.
Yeah. So in those 3 years, it was not.
Javed bhai is blushing. Javed bhai is blushing.
No, I'm not blushing. I'm remembering those years. in those 3 years were not too difficult because Delhi Kathmandu is almost like Delhi Patna and Delhi Lucknow. You know, there's so many flights and it's only 1 hour and 10 minutes flight from Delhi to Kathmandu. So we were able to, you know, I was able to, and there is no visa required to go to Nepal. So it was not really very difficult. I went to Kathmandu very often as possible from Prime Minister's office. Farah came much more because she could take leave more. I could not be absent from the PMO so much. Anyway, those 3 years were not too difficult. After that, when Farah was posted to New York, I got posted to the World Bank in Washington, DC. So we were in the same country. That was from 2010 to 2007 to 2010, 3 years. We were in the same country, but we were in 2 different cities. And there we managed once again, every week I would either rent a car or sit in a bus or sit in a train.
Wow.
And would come to New York from Washington DC to New York. You know, I joke that I am a PhD on the New York-Washington road. You know, I know exactly where which petrol pump would come or which hoarding would advertise what product, because I traveled that road so many times. So we were meeting almost every week because I would be coming from Washington.
You would be missing you. And Farah was missing you.
So once again, that was not too difficult. So these three years in Kathmandu, 3 years in Washington, DC, not too difficult.
Right.
The difficult period was actually from 2012 to 2020, almost 8 years period. I went back to Lucknow as Chief Secretary of the UP government in 2012, and Farah continued in New York. So it was Lucknow and New York now, which was continents apart. So I think we managed that by having a very disciplined drill, basically, of talking every day. I used to go for a walk in the morning at around 6:30. That was the time when I was walking for an hour. I would have my phone in my hand and we would be talking, because it was 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning in India, and it would be 9:30, 9 p.m., 9:30 p.m. in New York. So it was convenient for both of us, and I would be walking around for about an hour there, and there will be no disturbance. And if anyone wanted to, talk to me and disturb me, he would see I'm on the phone. So I got, I got time to talk to my wife for every day, 1 hour at least.
Wonderful.
And I think that connection continued.
Wonderful.
Also in between, she came to Delhi and Lucknow, and I came over here, but that could not be so many times. That's how we managed that 14-year period.
Yeah, communication is important, and like I said, like Javed was saying, that it took a bit of time because whenever we were calling, the other party was busy. So finally, we got this time, and for like a catch up, like all couples do at the end of the day, and so we would do it online, and yeah, and so again, I would say communication is very important.
Yes.
And in terms of
communication, trust, and the vision that you have, and you have to give back to the universe. If you're qualified in a certain way, you owe it to the universe. Like when my daughter just completed 2 months back her BA LLB honors. So she said, Mom, she's going to kill me if she sees this. But she says, I'm open to the idea of settling down or maybe doing a master's in law. My first priority was to guide her. I said, you've taken up a course of BA LLB, and it's a responsibility to give back to the universe. I said, koi bache ki student ki seat thi wo. And I said, you need to practice this and give back. And she has this dream for human rights, to work something for human rights. So I said, you must give back, contribute back to the universe, because you have taken a deserving child's seat, and it should not go waste, beta. A doctor, a lawyer, these are very responsible roles. You need to give back to society. So my inner desire is that she completes her master's either in New York or LA or whichever line or whichever state she chooses, or England. But I would rather have her study 1 more year of master's and maybe have someone for her with the same vision. that yes, he must respect her, that she has to give back to the world and society. Probably I'll pray now that maybe she gets someone like Javed Bhai on those lines to give his wife the respect, the freedom, the space, and the trust that they can move on. If all the women in the world can get a husband like Javed Bhai, I think they can do so much and achieve so much. The world will be a better place. So tell me about the.
I think it's both of us who. I think it's both of us who gave space to the other person.
It takes two to tango, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what about the work-life balance, Farah and Javed Bhai, and how did you all overcome the challenges? What about the work-life kind of balance that you had? Was it like vacations and everything? Could you all plan to go?
Yeah. You want to start? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we are both fond of traveling, and well, in the services, in government service, we have what is called the LTC, the leave travel concession.
Okay.
And we were very fond of using that leave travel concession to travel in India.
Okay.
Because India itself is such a huge country and has so many beautiful places to see. Most of us have not really seen India in detail.
True.
So we tried to, find every time when Farah would come to Lucknow, we would take time off and go somewhere, some beautiful place in India on the leave travel concession. So we enjoyed and we loved traveling together. That was one very important common interest.
Gee.
Yeah, and I think on the work-life balance, what I would say is that it's quality time. It's not the amount of time, and so but that requires a lot of planning. And so like we said, we would, whenever I would visit, we would already plan either to go to Ladakh or to go to Munnar, so all the planning would be done in advance, that both parties would take leave. And so that was one. The second is that we used ways, including with the children, because the whole family, it's not just the two of us, it's all four. We have 2 children who are grown up now. And so we needed to have that family thing with the children.
Right.
And so we set up, like, sort of after a lot of trials, so it wasn't easy. We set up like a lot of things that we all agreed to, was that whoever would travel or whoever would do anything will inform all 4 parties, all 4 members of the family about things, because we felt that sometimes, there was lack of information flow. And so a lot of effort was done. And so even now it's there. Anybody has a major thing, they share it with the family chat group and things like that. So we need to establish, it's not easy, but you need to establish these ways, but it can be done. What I want to communicate is that you can, and and always women have this guilt that they are not giving enough time to the children, to their studies, etc. And that needs to be taken into account. And what recently, actually, I saw an article, it's I think a study by Harvard or Oxford or somebody, which said that actually working women's children land up to be doing better, or some such research, which made me a little happy. But growing up, I was guilty about the time, and hence we made like special effort for that time, because it was less. And and so that is a balance, that when you have a job. But we were lucky, we had family support. For example, I went to Afghanistan for 3 months when I was in Nepal, or I think more than 2 months. And then my parents came over to be with the children during that period. And so we were lucky also how we worked out, because we had this strong family support. I cannot leave, like go for 3 months, and so we had my mom and my dad came to stay whenever we did these things. And we came for Eisenhower Fellowship also to the US, which both of us got together. That's also a good fellowship which they give to couples. And again, my parents came to Delhi in our home and stayed with the children. So the balance comes like that. And I would be amiss if I don't mention my really dear caregiver. I had, a lady who is still with us and came when Faraz was born. Her name is Krishna. And she, because I had the confidence that she would really care about my children, a small baby also, when I was in the hospital, it gave me the confidence to, devote the hours. So yes, it is a challenge, work life, but like I said, we can work around. The partner also has to do work. We lived for 1 year in London. That was the first time we lived when we had no household support. We were used to having, people cooking, cleaning and everything. But we lived for 1 year when Javed was doing his master's in social policy at London School.
Wow.
And we had one child who was 1 year old that time. And I had taken leave without pay that time to be there. But nevertheless, Javed was, helping with shopping, cooking and everything. And so that is, again, the work-life balance happens when both partners are like, willing to do. He said he enjoyed giving Faraz a bath and everything. So I was lucky. And so, yeah, but it's a challenge. So, your point is valid that it is a challenge when both are working. But I believe that in the next generation, and I'm seeing it in my children and others, this will be the norm. Yes. Both parties will work, and hence, share. It was very rare during our time, this sort of life that we have lived, and we have faced, challenges in relation to that too. But now going forward is going to be the norm. And hence, for people to know how to and evolve and make the best of it is going to be, which is why I'm happy to share what challenge.
How were the children coming to terms with dad being so far away, or was it also okay with the kids of seeing the father, or were they more in the US or were they more in India?
Okay, so yeah, I moved to the US in 2007. Yeah, so at that point of time, they were, in a sense, grown up. Faraz was in first year college. He joined college in New York when I moved here. And Sabah was in high school. She joined the UN school in high school here. So in the sense that they were, and the best was that, yeah, that's actually another point that worked in many of our situations, was that when I was moving from Nepal, I applied for 2 jobs, because for us, for a transfer, you have to apply and, after you complete the tenure. And I was applying for Bangkok as well as New York. And Bangkok was closer to India, and and you won't believe it that both the children told me, Amma, New York le lije. And that also helped. Yeah, and so that helped, because I told them, I said, listen, we are not used to like doing everything alone. And I had an apprehension that when I came here and I had to handle everything, I may not be able to do such good quality work. And that's not an option, because otherwise then you'd have to leave. And so I was very apprehensive. And then these 2 told me, Amma, like, Sara kaam kar denge, sab kuch karenge, please go to New York. So that helped, because like
compared to the pollution levels, and basically going to Bangkok, is the culture is extremely different there. Like my son right now, he's studying in Boston. He's hopefully he should be back in December. He's under training for CPA, and he's completed his master's in finance. He was telling me, he said, over here, the whole idea, when people look at you, even if you were to get an employment in a company, there's dignity of labor, there's respect. There are so many systems in place. It's so disciplined atmosphere here that if given a chance, I would love to continue on my optional practical training visa here. He's worked with KPMG for a year before. So he said, the dignity of labor here, the respect, the discipline, the systems are in place. People respect you, they said. You just need to follow the law. That's it. So there's a huge difference between the cultures and, the government policies and the discipline actions in the United States of America compared to Bangkok. So obviously the kids did steer you in the right direction. So how old are they? How old are they?
So Faraz just is going to just turn 31 in September. Okay. And he has completed his PhD from Duke, and then he did his master's in Yale. And so he works in Washington with a consultancy company, and he got married last year.
Oh,
and
and so in the park in
Yes, in
I
Corbett.
saw on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah, so they are both environmentalists, so they wanted to get married in the park,
It's a
environment. So
natural,
they had a small,
natural reserve park.
yeah. So, I mean, not in the park itself, but near the park, the place, yeah. And Sabah, our daughter, she's 29,
Mashallah.
and yeah, she just turned 29 in August, and she's an urban planner. And she works again with a it's actually it's not a company, it's like
It's a volunteer. It's a
large
large volunteer
organization
called the Environmental
Yeah,
Defense Fund.
yeah.
She works with
So
that.
she works with that.
She's
So
a
the short
she's a
film
master's.
that, Sabah had done, the short movie which I saw that was directed by and produced by Sabah.
Yeah, that was
very
that
creative.
was
It's part of the environment and urban planning work that she did. That was an urban planning project. Yeah,
Ji, ji.
that's true.
Okay,
a
what
master's
would
in
be
urban
your
planning.
advice to the going forward generations for the women and the girls? Javed bhai first. What would be your advice? And also for, I know you have a lot of experience in climate change. So for the women to help and step up towards also in their small little ways, domestically also. So my first question is your advice. Second would be about climate change.
My advice to the young women would be that there is no way in which you should give up your career just to buy peace at home. Don't do that. Your work life is very, very important. If you are engaged in doing something which is productive, which makes you financially independent, which also teaches you a lot of things which only a work life can teach you, don't give it up. Negotiate very hard to keep your work life and your profession intact, and that is something which is very, very important in life. Don't compromise on that. And the second point that I would like to emphasize upon is that there is no doubt that gender issues are very deeply ingrained. I mean, patriarchy is a very, very very strong institution, thousands of years old. And women in particular have to constantly struggle against issues which arise out of patriarchy, about the male-dominated society. And women should not give up hope on that. The struggle is ongoing. It is not as if the battle is even one-fourth won, but women must continue to be optimistic about it and must continue to work to get support of men in their family on this issue. So I would make these two points to young women in ordering their life in future.
Absolutely.
You had mentioned climate change and what women can do to address climate change. Climate change is a very vast global issue, and it requires action by large institutions like governments and corporates at a very large level. And it's in that large level, really individuals don't play any major role. It is decision makers, policy makers, lawmakers who play a role in that. But it is a very, very important role that almost everyone has to play, because climate change. What is climate change demanding from us? If you really want to address climate change, humanity will have to address the issue of changing your lifestyle. Unless humanity changes its lifestyle, climate change will not be addressed, because all the other large issues eventually impact upon lifestyle. Unless you give up large petrol guzzling cars, unless you give up the very low temperature that you maintain in summers and the very high temperature you maintain in your houses in winters,
Ji.
unless you are willing to make life a little more uncomfortable, unless you are willing to take decisions which collectively impact climate change, things will not happen. And in the issue of making lifestyle changes, women play a very, very important role.
That's why I asked, what can really women do that for climate change? If every woman in every household steps up and says, these are the rules that we need to follow as a family, from plastics to water to car changes to
lifestyle changes, all those lifestyle changes.
And in fact, if there is some kind of data where we can get, where all the women of India or collectively of somewhere, and we send out blanket emails to everyone saying that these are the 15 rules or the 10 rules which should be made mandatory by the government for each family to have a checklist submitted every quarterly, probably. That these are the checklists that we have adhered to, and maybe once in a quarter, once in half a year, someone comes in and checks as to are they following, like when you have an income tax raid, are you following the policies of filing your taxes? Agar aapne tax sahi se nahi bhara, to you get an inquiry or you get a load on extra taxes. In the same way, people who are not following global climate change rules should also be taxed, because is धरती पर रहने के लिए हमको फ्री में रह रहे हैं हम, और ऊपर से we are doing a lot of wastage and bad stuff going on here. So if you don't listen to the rules, we should be taxed. So I personally feel that there has to be something very strict which every family has to adhere to. And if the government can come up, or we can float, or y'all can float, y'all are the kingmakers and the guys with all the brains and the numbers and the datas. If there's something that we can do that every family should follow, कि ये 15-20 rule है and this is mandatory, और अगर आपने follow नहीं किया तो tax लगेगा. तो ऐसा कुछ होना चाहिए,
I mean, generally awareness on environment, as you're rightly saying, there's like lots to be done. Certainly lots to be done, and every bit counts. And so I really, even with the campaign that you are saying, in some way you can get a core group to start, and we are happy to collaborate. This is very important for our children and the next generations, and more this is coming. So Javed actually did some research for a year with University of Pennsylvania on this. In fact, one of the chapters, I don't know if you published it, was on related to women also. The impact on health and women and others.
In fact, I was under a training program with New York Film Academy. So I made a short film on global warming. Where,
wonderful.
On global warming, where the stress loads of a family also increase, the frustration levels, the relationship issues, because of the pressures which are very in deep psychological, subconsciously, those pressures build up, which we are not aware of, which is happening because of global warming.
Oh, share your link to your film. Yeah, we should see it.
Surely.
Yes.
So,
okay, so yeah, I think we are sort of
advice on global warming and how women can step up and do something where in the family.
Yeah, there's lots. I can send you some stuff, and then of course, from Javed's research earlier, we can happy to collaborate on that too. And because it's really important issue and everybody's role is important.
Tell us about the latest, the website that you have, which is called inspiringindianmuslims.org.
Okay, so that's work in progress, and one of the ideas is that role models are important. And so when you see somebody who can achieve, it actually inspires the next generation. So the theme behind this concept is that you curate and put together, in different professions right across. So it's not just one profession, and you broaden up. So you just don't think that I can only become a doctor or a teacher or and to show that like there is a scope of professions and women are making it there. Yes. So it helps also for the parents. The parents will allow their daughter, if they see that, listen, many other women have done that. And so this initiative in a small way is envisaged to contribute to that repertoire to, help and advance younger women to see, actually sort of what your, a little bit what your program is also contributing to, is showing women that, there are ways you can overcome the challenges, and many have done it, and you can create a path. So that's sort of the objective, where we are, collaborating with many colleagues, including like yourself.
Thank you so much for putting me on board for Maharashtra. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get onto a Google Meet very soon with all the ladies, and we'll
Okay.
all go online.
Okay.
And so going ahead after this, Javed bhai, what do you have in mind for our country? Is there anything coming up, a new project? And the current state of UP, if there's some way that,
Now she's getting into politics.
I know, but it's sad. It's the current scenario, but it's
I think
sad.
we
Whatever we see, I hope things get better. I believe in our Prime Minister. He's doing great work. And I hope this shall also pass, and there has to be a change. So,
I can only make a very general comment on this issue because it's essentially a political issue. But the general comment that I would make is that there is an idea of India.
Ji.
There is an idea of India. There is an idea around which India as a nation, as a society is constructed. And that idea was developed largely, it was developed during the freedom struggle. What was that idea of India? Essentially, that idea of India was that, and it is based on reality, that India is perhaps the most diverse country in the world.
Ji.
There is no other country which has the diversity that India has. There is no race in the world which is not represented in India. There is no religion in the world which is not largely represented in India. India has more official languages than perhaps, no other country has so much linguistic diversity as India. So India is essentially a diverse nation. It is full of diversity, and we need to be proud of our diversity. So this is one. Now it's almost like, it's a beautiful garden where there are many colors, many types of flowers of different colors, which add to the beauty of the garden. This is the idea of India. And it is all these diverse races and religions and peoples, they all have to work together for this country. This was the concept of India, which was developed very strongly during the freedom struggle. Now, this idea of India was also given legal shape, a legal basis, when the Constitution was adopted. So our Constitution, the Constitution of India, is the legal document which gives concrete shape to this idea of India that we were talking about. So what we have to work towards, and what we have to hope for, and what we should never lose sight of, is that we all need to work hard to strengthen this idea of India. That, this Constitution of India is the basis. We must strengthen it. Rule of law in accordance with the Constitution is the way forward for a diverse country like India. No other path really is appropriate for this kind of country. So this is I think this is what we have to keep in mind all the time for the future.
So really nice.
Farapa, what do you have in mind? Upcoming any projects? Anything that you have in mind that you're working on with the UN in collaboration with India? Any upcoming projects that you would like my viewers to know?
My portfolio is more global here, so it's not like one country based. So it's it's more global. Like we have programs in 129 countries across. So developing the policies related to that and the procedures in terms of overall. So it's not like specifically, but as you're aware, I do a lot of volunteer work in India. I do, yeah. And so I have including the project that you mentioned, the Rising Beyond the Ceiling, and the others, because my heart is there, including in the state of Uttar Pradesh where I come from. I'm also fond of handicrafts, and I work on that promotion of that and others in the country. And yeah, and I also, through your forum, I can mention that, you know, I am also happy to do mentoring of girls from India who are seriously considering or would like to know about UN jobs. I do this every Saturday. I have blocked time for a one-to-one conversation with young women who want to know, because, you know, I did not know about this career. I came to know by chance, but I'm happy to share. And with serious people who refer me through some organizations, they refer me girls who want to have the conversations. So on the weekends when I'm free, I do that.
Wonderful.
And yeah. So we are really happy to link up with you, Mehnaz, and wish you all the best.
And thank
in
you.
your initiative to promote women's issues, which are very dear to, as you can see, both our hearts. And yeah, and in fact, thank you actually for inviting both of us together. We actually haven't done any sessions together because of the way we were living. So this was an opportunity for us to.
Privilege and honor for me. This is a complete honor. And thank you so much for granting me. And if there's anything in India, Javed Bhai, I have a trust which I work for exclusively for women and children. It's 5 years complete. It's in the process of ATG. I go by the processes and the procedures and the papers. Even if it takes time, it's okay. I told them, I said, let it take its time, but I need everything on documentation, on paperwork, and slowly and surely, I've got the papers getting ready. So if there's anything for women and children regarding anything, I'm at your service completely. Please do let me know. I have a trust. If there's anything you want to voice out to the community in India, or looking out for any partners to join for any projects in the United Nations, we are there for you. And
sure,
once again for coming onto Womenistan Talk Show platform. Complete privilege. Thank you. Thank you, Javed.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Allah Hafiz. Bahut bahut aadab.